The village of Mbali existed where the sun dipped into the embrace of the jungle. Emerald leaves gave way to ochre earth. Thatched roofs like woven baskets dotted the landscape. Mbali was a place where the air thrummed with ancient spirits, and the whisper of the wind carried secrets. Life unfolded slowly in Mbali, governed by the rhythms of the seasons and the wisdom of ancestors. The villagers lived in harmony with the land, their days filled with planting and harvesting, their nights alive with stories told under a canopy of stars. The jungle held both allure and danger. It provided sustenance and shelter, but also hid predators with eyes that glinted in the dark. The villagers respected its power, approaching it with caution and reverence. They believed that spirits resided in its depths, guarding its secrets and shaping the destiny of those who dared to venture within. Mbali, nestled at the edge of this untamed wilderness, was a place where the mundane and the mystical intertwined. Amina was known throughout Mbali for her grace. She moved with the fluidity of a river, her laughter ringing out like the chiming of wind chimes. Her heart, as pure as the morning dew, overflowed with kindness. The villagers often sought her out, drawn to her gentle spirit and her wisdom, which seemed to flow from some ancient source. Amina possessed a deep connection to the earth, understanding the language of the leaves and the secrets whispered by the wind. She could heal the sick with herbs gathered under the light of the full moon. She could calm a frightened child with a song passed down through generations. Amina embodied the spirit of Mbali, her life a testament to the enduring power of nature and tradition. Her presence was a gift, her existence a source of joy and wonder. Little did the villagers know that this beloved daughter of Mbali would soon face a trial that would test the very fabric of their community. A shadow fell over Mbali. Whispers snaked through the marketplace. Hushed conversations replaced the usual greetings. Amina, once the embodiment of the village's spirit, became the target of their judgment. Her misstep, a transgression against their deeply held traditions, left them reeling. A child, born outside the bonds of marriage, became a mark against her, a stain upon her character. The elders, custodians of ancient laws and customs, convened under the shade of the baobab tree. Their faces, usually etched with wisdom and experience, hardened with disapproval. The village, bound by tradition, struggled to reconcile Amina's past with their rigid beliefs. They ostracized her, their whispers like stones thrown at her heart. Amina, once embraced, now found herself alone, her spirit bruised by their condemnation. Her only solace was the child she held close, a beacon of hope in the gathering darkness. Zuri arrived during the season of torrential rains, a tiny bud amidst the downpour. Her eyes, wide and knowing, held a wisdom that belied her age. Amina, shunned by the village, found solace in her daughter's presence. Zuri became her world, her reason to face each dawn, despite the weight of their isolation. As Zuri grew, so too did the whispers surrounding her. The villagers observed her with a mixture of fear and fascination. Zuri possessed an uncanny connection to the natural world, a bond that bordered on the mystical. She spoke to animals as though they were kin. Their calls and chirps answered with her soft murmurs. Plants flourished under her touch, their leaves unfurling with an almost audible sigh. Her laughter could coax the rain from the heavens, and her tears had the power to heal the sick. Zuri, the child born under a cloud of judgment, possessed a gift that defied explanation, a gift that would soon test the very foundations of Mbali. Section 5. A Creeping Blight. A creeping blight settled over the village of Mbali. What began as a subtle shift in the air, a heaviness that clung to the leaves, soon manifested in a more tangible form. Crops, once vibrant and life-giving, withered and died. The fruits, once plump and bursting with flavor, hung limp and rotten on the vine. Livestock grew gaunt, their eyes clouded with sickness. A pallor settled over the village, a sense of unease that permeated every aspect of their lives. The air, once alive with the sounds of laughter and the chirping of insects, grew heavy with silence. The laughter of children, once a symphony of joy, was replaced by coughs that racked their small bodies. The elders, their faces etched with worry, convened under the ancient baobab tree, their voices hushed as they discussed the unfolding crisis. They consulted the spirits of their ancestors, offering sacrifices and pleas for guidance. But the blight continued to spread, its tendrils reaching into every corner of their lives, threatening to unravel the very fabric of their community. Desperation clung to the air in Mbali, as palpable as the humidity that preceded the rains. The elders, their faces etched with worry and their hearts heavy with a sense of foreboding, knew that time was running out. The blight that had settled over their village showed no signs of abating. Their attempts to appease the spirits had proved futile, their offerings met with an eerie silence. It was then, in their hour of need, that they remembered Amina. The woman they had ostracized, the woman they had cast out from their midst, was the one person who might hold the key to their salvation. With heavy hearts and a sense of shame, they made their way to her humble dwelling at the edge of the village. They stood before her, their heads bowed in supplication, and uttered the words that would forever change the course of Mbali's destiny. They begged for Amina's help. The air hung thick with anticipation as Amina, her daughter Zuri by her side, led the villagers along the jungle path. Their bare feet moved in unison, their steps surprisingly light despite the weight of fear and uncertainty that pressed down on them. They were entering the sacred grove, a place shrouded in mystery and whispered to be the dwelling place of powerful spirits. The villagers had always avoided this part of the jungle, their respect for its power bordering on trepidation. Sunlight, filtering through the dense canopy, cast dancing shadows on the jungle floor. The air hummed with the sounds of unseen creatures, their calls a symphony of chirps and clicks. Zuri, her eyes wide with wonder, reached out to touch the leaves of a giant fern, her small hand disappearing into its emerald embrace. She giggled, a sound as pure and clear as a mountain spring, and the tension that had gripped the villagers seemed to ease slightly. They were in the realm of spirits now, and only Amina, with her daughter as her guide, could navigate the path that lay ahead. The air crackled with energy as Amina and Zuri stood within the heart of the sacred grove. Sunlight, filtering through the dense canopy, illuminated the clearing, revealing an ancient altar adorned with offerings of fruit and flowers. The villagers watched with bated breath as Amina, her voice strong and clear, began to chant in a language that seemed to resonate with the very soul of the forest. Zuri, her small hand resting lightly on her mother's arm, added her voice to the ancient melody, her high-pitched tones blending seamlessly with Amina's deeper resonance. The ground beneath their feet vibrated with unseen energy. A warm breeze swept through the clearing, carrying with it the scent of jasmine and sandalwood. The villagers gasped as a blinding light erupted from the altar, bathing the clearing in an ethereal glow. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the light faded, leaving behind a sense of peace and tranquility that settled over the grove like a benediction. The blight, they would soon discover, had lifted. Their crops began to thrive, their livestock regained their health, and the laughter of children once again echoed through the village. Amina and Zuri, once ostracized, were now revered as heroes, their wisdom and connection to the natural world acknowledged with gratitude and respect. The arrival of the stranger had initially been met with suspicion. He came from a land beyond the jungle, a land where progress was measured in steel and concrete, a land where the whispers of the spirits were drowned out by the roar of engines. He spoke of science and reason, dismissing their beliefs as mere superstition. The villagers, initially resistant to his ideas, found themselves questioning their own traditions, their faith in the old ways shaken. But the stranger, blinded by his own sense of intellectual superiority, failed to see the wisdom embedded within their traditions. He scoffed at their rituals, their offerings to the spirits, their deep connection to the land. It was only when the blight descended upon their village, a blight that his science could not explain or cure, that he began to understand the limitations of his own knowledge. He witnessed the power of Amina and Zuri, their deep connection to the natural world, their ability to heal and restore what had been broken. In their wisdom, he saw the reflection of his own ignorance, the arrogance of assuming that he possessed all the answers. He left the village a humbler man, forever changed by his encounter with the people of Mbali, their traditions, and the enduring power of the natural world.